All right. A lot of Olympics chat. The last thing real quick, MLS All Star happened over yesterday.
And I watched it.
I did watch it.
Don't feel great about having watched it, but I watched it.
It's fine. I mean, we didn't get to go this year, but it was still, I watched the skills challenge, watched the game as well. Liga MX won both the skills and now I don't know how much stock you put in the is it the bragging rights? How much are the bragging rights even worth anymore?
With Leagues Cup, I don't think that
that
really matters. That feels like more
significant
for bragging rights.
Exactly.
But as far as All-Star games go, it seemed kind of pointless.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm a fan of the festivities around.
Same. For us, it's different though. What's the average fan really care about this game? Do you really care what it looks like when Ricky Puig passes to Lucho Acosta?
I mean, it's kind of fun to see. It's like, seeing them the link up play and there were a couple moments.
Fun.
There was a couple. I think it was it Ricky and Kucha? I forgot who it was, but there was a couple 1-2s, and I'm like, all right, they barely know each other, and they're connecting pretty well. I'm like,
when I was in Italy, there was a candy bar that I purchased. I forget what the name of it is, but you know how much I love those candy bars. I don't know if you call it candy bar. It's like the butter cookie with a piece of chocolate on top. It's like Le Petit Écolier is one of them.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the other one. There's two versions of it. There's one where it's like two. The chocolate is smashed between two of those cookies, and I was like, I gotta try this. And I picked it up and I tried it, and I was like, it's not great, but it was kind of fun.
Okay.
That is what you just said about MLS Cup.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not I'm not screaming from the rooftops of how great it is, but it has its value in my opinion. I think out of MLS All Star, probably the bigger talking points were the state. Is it the state of the league?
Yeah, the state of the league. That usually Don Garber hosts before the game.
Yes, before MLS All Star, and there were a couple talking points. So one about expansion,
right? Something always pops up in this. This is like this is like a good opportunity for like a quote. And this time it was about MLS Open Cup.
And then,
the U.S. Open Cup.
U.S. Open Cup. they love to rebrand it.
Yeah. That made me care about it more.
But this was he was asked questions about Open Cup because we know this year that a lot of the MLS teams, the senior teams, didn't participate, and they put in their second teams, the MLS Next Pro team, and it was a whole. A lot of fans are very frustrated.
But that was also a compromise because originally he said we're just going to pull out all MLS teams.
Exactly. So, and this was one of the quotes. It says, Don Garber says, quote, "There were 1,400 people in the stands in Atlanta for the U.S. Open Cup game they played the other night." And that it
wasn't in Atlanta, by the way. It was in Kennesaw.
Yeah. So that's kind of it's a little misleading.
That could have just been a simple mistake, but.
But it is.
But that's still kind of your bad if an MLS team can't garner more interest than 1,400 people.
Yeah,
that's also kind of on you. No,
there's a little bit of this isn't the flex you think it is kind of a thing. It's like the essentially, and we know where MLS and Don Garber stand when it comes to U.S. Open Cup. They really kind of see it as sort of useless to them. They don't really make much money from it. They feel like they shouldn't have to put their players in a competition that doesn't bring much revenue to them. So I saw from a business standpoint, that's where he stands, and we sort of comprehend that. But what's been happening lately is that fans have been protesting Leagues Cup because they basically say okay, well, if you don't want to support U.S. Open Cup in this tournament that we appreciate and we value, then the one that you sort of want to replace the U.S. Open Cup, we're not going to support that. And a few teams and a few supporters clubs have outright said we're not going. We recommend that you do not go. We're not going to bring any atmosphere and stuff like that. So that is whether you think that's wrong or right, they are completely allowed to
that's fair.
Have that position.
I mean, that's the one power they have is to not go to something.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it's I would like Leagues Cup to be supported, and I would also like US Open Cup to be supported. I want all the MLS teams to play. Like, I understand the maybe the players don't necessarily feel that way because they're like, all right, we're playing in too many matches. But that's, in a perfect world, that's sort of what I would like to see. But more than anything, I think this is we're sort of at a point where there has to be some sort of either compromise or understanding, or just the picture has to sort of be laid out of like, what is Leagues Cup going to mean to us? Just as fans, what is the US Open Cup going to mean to us? Because I know you can find the poorly attended US Open Cup game and be like, you see, this is what. But there's also US Open Cup games that have thousands and thousands of people and are very, very well supported, right. and it also highlights the lower league clubs that do get a lot of support, and that's right. Kind of the main thing. It's like I think this is sort of making me realize even more that that FA Cup and Carabao Cup and those other tournaments that we sort of were trying to essentially mimic, and that the pro-rel nature of those leagues makes those cup competitions feel much more significant and valuable and meaningful.
Is it not true that the US Open Cup is older than the FA Cup?
I don't know.
I believe it is.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, we'll find out.
We'll find out. And we'll see where.
I hear a lot of tippy tapping going on behind us. So I know our producers are on top of that. They'll be like, "What the hell is Alexis drinking before the show?" I think the part that frustrates me is that Leagues Cup, while a fine competition, there's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. It's these top flight teams versus Mexican top flight teams, another country that doesn't have promotion and relegation right now, seemingly never again in the future. They also stopped playing their version of US Open Cup, by the way. I don't know if you know that. They canceled theirs as well.
Oh, I did not know that.
There's no, if you're not in a city that has an MLS club, if you're not in a town that has an MLS club, if you are in a market outside of that, now you're not getting to see these teams. Now you're not getting to see your team play a higher caliber competition. Yep. I think back to my time in Louisville. Louisville City has a beautiful stadium. It's 14,000 seats. It's for the most part sold out every week. Their supporters are absolutely incredible. I got a chance to hang out with them. It felt like any other MLS club, any other MLS city. It felt like any other European city that had a team they supported. Obviously not to the grandeur of Premier League and things like that. But to them, it's as meaningful as anything else. This is my local team. They have a professional-looking stadium. There's the beautiful grass. It's built purposely for that. It's near downtown. It's in downtown technically. All these things, they've ticked every box. But now all of a sudden, you're not going to get a chance to play other than the teams you already play. You're not going to get a chance to play a new division, a higher caliber, simply because it doesn't fit into the contractual obligations,
or the business model.
Well, yeah, or the business model of the top flight, which I just think is just not fair for these other smaller clubs. And yes, there's gonna be a liquor store from Texas you're gonna have to play every once in a while on a high school field, and there's gonna be teams that are not well supported in areas that aren't well supported. But that still takes away from the overall and what the competition means for U.S. soccer as a whole. And I think I get the point, and I get where it's all coming from, and I understand. And I also don't think Don Garber's wrong in the sense of like, this needs to be a better competition. Of course, pulling out of it doesn't help that,
without a doubt. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think, when you think of the bigger picture of what soccer in America is and what it could be, and yes, we are doing we should be like England because look at the lower leagues that they can survive and all this other stuff. And there has to be some sort of compromise of like what. It's not going to be exactly like England. It's not going to be like the European countries, but there has to be something closer than just like we're done with it and we're gonna. Leagues. The reason Leagues Cup does well is because both leagues are helping each other. There's a lot of fans of Liga MX clubs that will go see teams because they don't obviously get the opportunity to see these teams very often.
There's a lot of folks that are Mexican that live here and aren't able to go watch Club America.
There's incentive. There's reason. There's an emotional connection with the teams that they're at least one of the teams that they're going to watch play, and the possibility, the dream of a U.S. Open Cup being really successful is the same exact thing, that they're fans that are like, there's a story here. I can watch this minnow, this club, this small club defeat. And that story alone might be enough in England to propel the or just keep those lower leagues like thriving. It just doesn't really work the same exact way here because we're kind of
but the competition existed for a long time before it was. There's no real need to make an insane amount of money with every match.
I mean, people in MLS would probably argue differently, right? They would say like, no, there is a need to make a lot of money in every match because for this example, I mean, this game wasn't played at the Benz, but if 1,400 people show up to the Benz, that's probably the staff that is at the stadium.
Yeah, obviously it costs a lot of money to open that stadium. Yeah.